Hey girl, hey, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Misha. Thank you guys for joining me yet again for another review. We are back with a brand new review of Insecure Season 5, Episode 5, Surviving Okay. If you are new here, then welcome. I give lighthearted reviews with a little bit of laughter and a little bit of shade and a whole lot of detail. If you are back for a second or third time, then welcome back. I am so sorry that I didn't do Insecure from last week. But child, I got overwhelmed, okay? But we're going to get into this week as we get into it. When the episode first opens up, Molly is getting her entire life on top of someone's mister, okay? And she's like, spell my name with it. Honey, he was putting extra vowels, adding extra alphabets. Honey, her name is Molly, Molly. He was making A's and B's and C's and D's. I'm like, oh, okay. I was getting some head, getting some head. Shout out to Shauna. So anyway, she rolls over and she sees that she has some texts and some missed call from her family, right? So she immediately rushes to the hospital. And child, when she get there, I noticed she still got on her freakum dress. I said, baby. She put that man out and honey, she rushed to that hospital. So while they're at the hospital, they're in the waiting area. So the doctor comes in and tells them to come say their goodbyes. And when he said that, my heart just dropped. I was like, oh my gosh. Because you remember, we were kind of predicting that something was going to take place with her parents, either her dad or her mom. And some people thought it was going to be Tiffany's husband. But child, when he said, come say your goodbyes, I was like, oh my goodness. Okay, I don't think I'm ready, honey. Let me brace myself. So they get to the room. It's not even her mama. I'm like, oh my gosh, leave it up to Issa to make a serious situation something crazy. Honey, we are definitely kindred spirits. But let me just say this. I would have been pissed. Okay, I'm already worried. You're confusing people. I would have to sue the hospital for mental anguish. Like, this don't make no sense, okay? My nerves are shot. And on top of that, you're making me believe that my parent/spouse has passed away. Honey, I know we all look alike. But the fact that you're confusing one black family for the other, honey, we're not going to be able to do that. So as the family is leaving out, and the other family is coming in, her brother gonna say to them, I'm sorry for your upcoming loss. Boy, if you don't shut up. I'm like, oh my God. So he's apologizing with his confused self, the doctor that is. And so then he takes them to the correct room. So the nurse is in the room and she's asking questions and her dad is getting overwhelmed because he's like, look, I cannot focus on all that and try to be present at the moment. So then the nurse was like, okay, well, I'll come back. So as she was walking out, Molly asked the nurse to be added to the point of contact because it's going to be a little bit much for her dad. I would lose it seeing my mom laying in that bed. This was the reason she was on them about that estate planning. See, I don't know what it is that causes our parents to parent us, but then once it's their turn for some assistance, they don't want to listen. Honey, they're going to forever be the parent from the cradle to the grave. But what they need to understand is it's our turn to help nurture you. We don't want to talk about those things and we understand that. But at the same time, you have to talk about them because these things need to be handled. In the next scene, Issa waking up looking pretty. Hey girl. While Nathan walking around serving her a cup of Joe in his drawers. I'm like, oh, okay. So y'all together. I'm just happy he woke up with a child because he'll dip in a minute. I'm just happy he's still around. So they start talking about their plans for the day. It's that awkward conversation you have when you want to spend more time with your new boo, but you don't want to seem clingy. Like, this was so relatable because it's like, I really want to spend all day and all night with him. But at the same time, I don't want him looking at me like, girl, okay, I just brought you coffee. Can you go? So she's like, well, I got plans with Molly for lunch, but sometimes she cancels those plans. And he was like, oh, okay, well, if she cancels those plans, then you'll be forced to spend the day with me. So then she calls Molly and finds out that her mom is in the hospital. Moving forward, Nathan drops her off at the hospital and tells her, look, I'll come back and get you if you need me to. She's like, no, I don't really want to bother you. Issa, it's okay, girl. Honey, it's okay. He can at least come back and get you, child. He ain't support you through nothing else, crying in his mouth and whatnot. He can come back and get you. It'll be fine. I see that he's trying to be supportive, so I ain't going to be too hard on Nathaniel, honey, because I don't know if his name is Nathan or Nathaniel, but I ain't going to be too hard on him because he's at least trying to be supportive, okay? So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. So now Issa's in the hospital, right? And she's checking on her to see if she's good, and she's trying to hold it together for the family. So Issa said, look, let me get you some clothes. I can run to your apartment really quick. You know what? Just change it to mine till I get back. Aw, it's nothing like a solid friend. This scene, although it is fictional, it shows the importance of good people in your corner that provide that support. Honey, give me a BFF that's going to change me out of my freakum dress into her sweatshirt and her jeans any day. I am so happy that they got back on track, because my heart would have been broken had they been on bad terms and something happened to Molly's mama. Oh, child, that would not be the way to end this series. Okay, I would be pissed and I would demand a rewrite, a redo, or something so we could make amends. Because it reminds me of that episode of Girlfriends when Tony Childs was going through that divorce and she was going through a custody battle, and her and Joan Clayton were on the outs. Because, you know, Tony, honey, self-absorbed and always doing something. And at the same time, Joan had her faults as well, and the two of them fell out. This was giving me very much Girlfriends circa 2001. And I was like, ooh, child, y'all, please. I'm so happy y'all got back together. In the next scene, Issa goes in, puts on her dress, and she puts on Issa's clothes. So as she's walking out the hospital, feeling good as hell, shout out to Lizzo, a lady is like, you look like a model. So here go Issa, honey, because I be feeling like the man when I walk through. Honey, she was really feeling herself, okay? So she walks out. She's like, thanks. So here go the lady. Oh, that's okay. She's high. Like, oh my gosh, this is a fool, child. Y'all are crazy. So Nathan comes to pick her up. One thing Issa gonna do, baby, she gonna get a ride when she need one if she don't do nothing else. So he was asking about Molly, and the whole time he looking at her like, where did you get this dress from? But he ain't saying nothing, child. He just watching her. So he asked about Molly, and they both said that they called their moms after they found out this because, you know, life is just too short. This does put things into perspective. Now, I speak to my mom every day, and I still felt like I needed to call her and ask how she was physically doing. You know, she's like me. She never slows down. She's always on the go, always doing something. But then I did hear that if you sit down, that's when you die. Because it's like your body is not used to the movement. And so it slows down the aging process. So I think that's why she's always going and always doing. But you still have to take care of your health in the midst of that. In the next scene, they get to Molly's house and she's trying to pick out some clothes for her, right? So Nathan sees a picture of her on the refrigerator. He's like, oh, she looks just like her mama. Here go Issa. Yeah, they got the same ankles. Girl, stop. Girl, stop. I am Issa in a relationship. I always playing. Girl, can you be serious for 2 seconds? I'm either extra goofy or I'm trying to nurture and mother you. Honey, it's no in between, child. I'm that friend. So back at the hospital, the family is having a little food. And so her Aunt Betty gets a call that another aunt wants to gather in prayer. She's like, your aunt wants to pray for you. Molly said, no, not right now. Okay, girl, just text it to us. Oh my God, honey, I fell out. I said, you know what? Black families gonna get together because you know what they say, honey, when 2 or more are gathered, it shall be done. And we gonna gather if we don't do nothing else. I mean, she just trying to cover you, honey. She just trying to cover you. So as they're sitting down, they're talking. And so the aunt discloses that her parents never finished their estate planning. And Molly is like, y'all never finished it? Like, why? So then she gets a call from the office about a case that she's supposed to be on. And there are some things that she needs to take care of, but now she can't take care of them because this is happening. So he's like, look, I can get another attorney on the case, but she just insists that she's going to be able to do it. Now, Molly, honey, right now, I think you should just let whoever it is have it so that you can be there for your family. But I get that it's a catch-22. Because you don't want to drop the ball professionally either, but you also want to be there for your family. And I can foresee right now that Molly is going to have some sort of nervous breakdown because you can't be everything to all people. I mean, she's trying to navigate her career at this firm, and now she's finally fitting in. She loves it there. You know, she's starting to do some self-care and some self-introspective work. And now her mom is sick. Child, oh my goodness. When I tell you, being in your 30s, moving forward, it is definitely a learning experience. Moving forward. In the next scene, Nathan and Issa, they're walking Molly's dog, and her mom FaceTimes in. Child, she left her mama a voicemail on how they need to spend more time together, and now she's booked for the next 50 Sundays for the Christian book club of it all. Baby, Wendy Raquel said, look, what are you doing for the next 8 Sundays? Because, you know, I'm having a book club. And, yeah, we're going to be reading The Upper Room, and we don't know what's happening once they get past the upper room. Now, I don't remember if she called it the upper room or not, but y'all know I'm going to add my own zhuzh on it if I don't do nothing else. So she keeps looking to the left and to the right, and her mom said, who do you keep looking at like that? Who is that? Child, that would be my mama. Who are you with? Who is that? I'm like, oh my gosh. So she said, oh, that's just Nathan. She was like, who is Nathan? So then he gets his big head in the frame and he's like, hey, Mom. She said, are you my daughter's boyfriend? He said, yeah. Oh, not he said, yeah, y'all. Oh, baby, it's official, honey. Oh, it is official. Like a referee with a whistle. You know what I mean? So Mama's like, well, let me speak to Nathan. So then she speaks to him and they hang up, right? Issa mentions to him that he didn't have to use the B word. She's like, I mean, if it's too soon, I understand. And she's like, my mom must be going through it since my dad left because she's been all over the place. So she's having problems with her new boo. And Issa goes, she just needs to figure out what she wants. Honey, it seems like the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. You can't decide if you want to drive back over there to Lawrence or if you want to continue on with Nathan. Okay, but the people have stated that they probably want you to get back over there with Daniel. Now, Daniel wasn't a fan favorite of mine. If I had to choose, I know it's toxic and whatnot, but it seems like Issa and Lawrence are just meant to be. I don't know what it is. It's like they have this soulmate type energy when the two of them see each other. Nathan is a little wishy-washy for me. Honey, I ain't really feeling it. I mean, he's starting to do a little bit better, but we shall see. So anywho, you need to get yourself together as well. So he starts looking at her crazy and he's looking at her like, sound like somebody I know. She's like, why are you looking at me like that? He's looking at you like that because you are your mother's child. That is why. So while they're talking about this, the dog gets loose. Molly gonna lose her mind, honey. This is too much for one day. Issa, you have got to find this dog. Back at the hospital, Molly is being me, honey, a whole WebMD doc. Listen, majority of the time, WebMD is right, okay, but it can cause you to think it's your time to go, okay? It could cause you to think, Elizabeth, I'm coming to join you, honey. Shout out to Fred Sanford. It could definitely make you think you're about to be unalive. Like, I ain't gonna lie to you. But at the same time, sometimes these doctors don't be fully, examining what needs to be examined. So I'm going to cough and name and list all of my symptoms so that I'm making sure that I'm being taken care of, child. So the nurse is trying to wait for the labs to come back before they can give any definitive answers. She's like, but you know what? It's definitely not that because she's already had a stroke. So Molly is like, no, she's never had a stroke before. What are you talking about, honey? Just sounding to them like another mix-up. So her dad has been keeping it a secret. I don't know what's with our people keeping their medical problems a secret from their children and their loved ones. Like, you never find out until it's too late. My grandmother and my mama, they do the same exact thing. I can handle it. I am a grown adult. Tell me exactly what is happening so that I can prepare you and I can prepare myself. Like, my mom is very secretive, especially about medical things, and I have to constantly stay on top of her. I have to ask, did you have any appointments lately? Or like, what's going on with you physically? Like, you said that you were going to see the eye doctor about this, or you said you need a colonoscopy. Like, I really have to stay on top of her. I think that she just felt like Molly wouldn't be able to handle it, but that's not fair. Okay? I love you. And I want you to know that I love you. You've taken care of me and I want to take care of you in return. Child, it be your own parents, honey. You got to raise them. Moving forward. So her dad is saying, her mother didn't want them to worry, but Molly is right. She said, no matter how hard it would have been, we still deserve to know. You should have told us. And I totally agree. So back on the other side of town, they're still trying to find Molly's dog with absolutely no urgency. I'm like, the two of y'all just strolling through, hollering out, Flavor, Flav. Honey, y'all are not looking for this dog. Like, Issa, I'm going to need you to look for this dog, girl. What is wrong with you? So while they're looking for him, Nathan is telling her this story of a missing dog from when he was a little child and his daddy was saying this and saying that. Child, they better hope that dog show back up. That's all I'm saying. So back at the hospital, the doctor comes in with some news about Molly's mom's CT scans. So Molly was the only one in the room, and he told her they show considerable damage. He said it's likely that paralysis is possible. Molly is like, no, that cannot be right. I mean, you have to retest her. He said, I'm sorry. I'm just preparing you for what could come. Oh, okay. Child, when I tell y'all I cried a few times this episode. Oh, child, the empath in me. I would have instantly started speaking life and praying. Honey, I'm all about speaking life into a dead situation. You will not speak over my family. Now, I understand that medically, it ain't looking too good. But God has the final say. And I will stand right on over my mom and touch and agree that she's going to come back and be better than ever. Honey, I know it might not happen, but I'm still going to do it. So her family comes back in and they're like, what did the doctor say? She could barely get the words out, child. This is really too much for me, child. This is just too much. Moving forward. Back on the other side, Issa and Nathan are waiting for the dog to return. And just so happened it worked out because the dog definitely did return to his home. So Issa goes, I couldn't have done today without you. You're so patient with me and that's why I love you. Okay, Issa, what are you saying to him right now? Like love for real? Is it that kind of love? Is it one of those friendly type of loves? Or is this real love? Shout out to MJB. Like, what type of love is it? I think she was just saying it more so like, I just love you. You're always there for me. Not, I'm in love with you. Okay? I don't think it was that. But honey, they did look at each other. He looking at her, she looking at him, and then they kissed. I'm like, girl, what? But I did notice that he ain't say it back. In the next scene, Issa is back at the hospital and Molly is blaming herself for her mom's condition, thinking of all the ways she could have been there more and things she could have done. And that's a guilt that we all face with busy lives. Like, it's no way to stop things like this from happening. But I know exactly what she is feeling. And I do mean exactly, because it's really hard when, you know, your parent calls you and you don't have the time to just sit and have a conversation. So you say, I'm going to call you back, and you can't help but to feel guilty. And it's also hard when your parents are stubborn and they won't listen to you. So then she starts thinking about the what ifs. She's like, what if I don't ever get married? What if I don't get to give her grandchildren? Like, what's going to happen? But Issa is giving her some words of encouragement, honey. And this was such a real scene. You don't know what to really say to give comfort, but you try your best. And, you know, Issa is one of those awkward, I'm uncomfortable, I'm trying to make a joke to get through this type of friends. So she's doing her best to let Molly know, look, you are doing the damn thing, okay? You are successful. You have a beautiful place. I mean, you're very accomplished. You're doing exactly what it is that you're supposed to be doing. And she also tells her, like, look, this stuff is out of your control. And that is the worst part. The fact that you don't know the time nor the place, or if anything could happen from day to day. So it's really nothing that Molly can do, but I understand the guilt that she's feeling. So child, Issa goes to get them some coffee. Now, I wasn't thinking anything about this. I'm like, okay, go on and get them some coffee. Cool. Molly's going to sit here while you go and get the coffee, and then you'll be back. So she goes to get some coffee and sees Coco Melon and Lawrence and that baby. Baby, she sees them, and then her and Lawrence, they lock eyes, and my stomach dropped. Child, I would not want to be in the hospital and see my ex with his new child, and I don't know what's going on with them, but you're going to automatically assume that they're together because they're in the hospital together, and at least that's where my mind would go. And I would be like, oh my God, they got back together, and now they're a family, a ready-made family, just add water. Oh, my nerves would be so bad. Child, what are the odds? But anywho, they still have some unfinished business according to the way that they were looking at each other. So she walks on past, but I could tell she was feeling some things, okay? I'm like this, out of sight, out of mind. But then you see them, and then it's totally different. And baby, they both wanted to turn around and talk to each other, and she was stuck and he was stuck. Baby Charcuterie didn't even notice what was going on. Child, she was patting that baby, bouncing him up and down. The doctor was like, we'll see you next. And child, they went on inside. Baby, and that was the end of the episode. And at the end, they played Woo Child. And when I tell y'all, that was so fitting, because this episode had me in my feelings. Oh, my emotions were all over the place, child. This was just too much. Y'all comment down below and tell me exactly what you thought about this episode. Episode 5 did what's supposed to have been done, honey. It gave what needed to be gave. I loved it. Okay, I really did. It was real. It was raw. It's what we're all facing, and what we all have to face at some point. It was the awkwardness of a new relationship and trying to navigate that. And then, you know, trying to be the best friend and be supportive. And then also having to deal with your parents getting older and things like this happening, and then they hold things from you because they don't want you to know. Child, it was all over the place, and it was good. Please don't hesitate to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. And as always, stay safe, stay blessed, spread love, not germs. Peace.